Hey there everyone, and welcome back. We're doing 30 days of radical acceptance. Today is day 19 and it's also January 19th, 2023. Today in Salt Springs, you wouldn't know it right now, but they're doing a controlled burn in the forest, the Ocala National Forest. And when I woke up this morning, there was a combination of smoke and fog that was so thick you couldn't see 5 feet in front of you. It was really amazing. So I was drawn out into the street where I noticed some neighbors were talking, and I literally stood there for a couple hours just talking to people and getting to know people and introducing myself and explaining a little bit about, oh yeah, I just retired from the military last year. My boyfriend and I are looking for a place to live, and I'm just interested in doing my spiritual practice and helping people. And I got really close with this one particular neighbor who made a statement to me about not wanting to be preached to. And I wasn't going there at all, but it taught me something about what our job is. And so the thought that I had for the day is I gladly sacrifice my attachment to the world, because I think that what we're doing here is a very high calling and very special, and it's bringing us to this place of really having compassion and humility for our brothers and sisters who are not on the same journey and who are not interested in everything that we're talking about and these topics here. So this channel is like a safe container for us to converse openly about all these teachings and these concepts and how we're living in this illusory world. But when we encounter our brothers and sisters who are not on the path, it is imperative that we don't put them off by being preachy and being unrelatable, too esoteric, too airy-fairy. I think that I'm learning that, and the feeling of community. And he says, I'm country, like we don't go to church, but we believe in God. We say our prayers at night. So I feel like there's a lesson here, and I don't know how well I'm fleshing it out, but there's something around we teachers of God not having a business card that we put in people's faces, but more a heart of God that we open around everyone, and that this isn't about advertisement. Now, if you have a spiritual business and you do healing work and all of that, I mean, that's a different story. You've got to talk about your passion and your skills and offer it to people to say yes or no to. But then I think there's also a skill set and a savvy and a trade craft in our group here, this cohort of people, where we have to be relatable to quote unquote normal people who are still part of the world. As we are especially moving from the cities into these more rural areas, because everyone is here and connected and at one. So just think of that today as you go about your day. I don't want us to become like an isolated group that's just sort of like pushed away from the world and unrelatable and frankly, like preachy and annoying to everyday people who call themselves country, right? Like there's a challenge here for us to remain humble and relatable and have this wisdom about, things in the universe and the cosmos and connecting with guides and teachers that a lot of people are just not aware of. And knowing that they're simply blocking that access for themselves because that's their journey, because that's their path. Honoring other people in a really humble way and saying, perhaps you're my teacher right now, even though we don't agree on everything from a spiritual standpoint. Anyway, so this idea of sacrificing my attachment to the world came up as I was talking to this man. And so I flipped in the manual for teachers, and lo and behold, I found something that really made sense to me and helped me kind of understand what I was experiencing as I was talking to this man. So Section 13 in the Manual for Teachers is called, What is the Real Meaning of Sacrifice? And I highlighted a few passages. I highly recommend reading the whole thing and studying it a bit, but let's jump into this a little. It takes great learning both to realize and to accept the fact that the world has nothing to give. What can the sacrifice of nothing mean? It cannot mean that you have less because of it. Think a while about what the world calls sacrifice: power, fame, money, physical pleasure. Who is the so-called hero to whom all of these things belong? Could they mean anything except to a body? We're not our bodies. Once this confusion has occurred, it becomes impossible for the mind to understand that all the pleasures of the world are nothing. Now has the mind condemned itself to seek without finding, to be forever dissatisfied and disconnected, to know not what it really wants to find. God's teachers can have no regret on giving up the pleasures of the world. Is it a sacrifice to give up pain? Does an adult resent the giving up of children's toys? Does one whose vision has already glimpsed the face of Christ look back with longing on a slaughterhouse? No one has escaped the world and all its ills, looks back on it with condemnation. So I think that's the part about compassion. And when it talks about sacrificing the world, that's your discretion to whatever degree that you want to not participate in worldly things. For me, I feel like my path is about drinking very little alcohol, if any at all. I've decided at some point not to have any meat. I don't want animal flesh in my body. I don't want to have meat products. I like to have a spiritual practice or something to start my day. But essentially, in terms of giving up the world, it's just naturally, I just pull away. I don't have a desire to do the things that are available in regular society as much. I don't go shopping all the time. I don't want to, make myself look a certain way. So a lot of that is just based on your own individual path. But to me, it seems like it's a sacrifice in a way because I'm pulling away from popular culture. But the more and more that I get into the Course in Miracles, it's like, no, I'm just becoming more of the true being that I am. And that's those decisions that I made to eliminate this and have less of that are just my own desire as I'm getting connected more with my path. So that's what I think of as, letting go of the world from my perspective. What's it for you? What have you decided to exchange or do less of? Teacher of God, do not forget the meaning of sacrifice and remember what each decision you make must mean in terms of cost. Decide for God and everything is given you at no cost at all. Decide against Him and you choose nothing at the expense of the awareness of everything. Atonement is for you. Your learning claims it and your learning gives it. The world contains it not. But learn this course and it is yours. God holds out His word to you, for He has need of teachers. What other way is there to save His Son? So I gladly sacrifice my attachment to the world. That's how I feel today. I feel blessed that I was able to talk to a neighbor for such a long time, and the smoke and fog caused so much of a distraction that it brought people out of their homes and walking on the street wanting to get to know people and, hey, what's going on? There was actually an accident on the road near us, so that was another thing. Hearing that noise brought people out, but something's really happening. Something is going on that's wanting us to connect more with people around us, establishing more of a sense of community. And as teachers of God, we have to be humble beings and not be preachy, but have our own practice where we know what it is that we're sacrificing, but not to brag about it and not to encourage other people to do what it is that we do. I have no judgment against people who are consuming meat and drinking more alcohol than me or whatever. Like, it's all an individual choice, and it's up to me, if those judgments do come up, to handle that in my own cocoon of learning, my own classroom. And I feel like that's the game that we're playing right now, is to know where we are spiritually, but also have this opportunity socially to be love wherever we are, to whatever degree is required of us at the time, in order to, continue to be a teacher of God. So thank you so much for being here with me. The Manual for Teachers has been such an upgrade for me, and studying this with you is encouraging me to go so much deeper in my practice. And I hope that's happening for you. Love to all of you, and I'll talk to you again tomorrow.